And we're away. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. And I say that broadly today. It sounds like we've got people all over the world today, not just out listening, but in-house. I know Jay and I are currently in the Bay Area. Timmy is in Japan right now after Explore on tour, running on fumes. Appreciate you being here. Aniket's in Sweden right now, the place of my people. Super good. Oh, got Denmark in the audience. Represent. All right. Um, the reason why we're here today is we're chatting about VCF Platform with Ubuntu and talking about ways to streamline and secure your modern apps. A little bit of modern app management going on. Just a couple of quick announcements. As I mentioned earlier, Explore on Tour was our second to last Explore on Tour this year, and we're keeping it going. Starting on the 11th of November, we're going to be in Frankfurt. Little Bird told me we're going to have a couple of announcements going on in Frankfurt, so that'll be super good. The event is absolutely sold out. I wish that was not the case, so I could tell you, hey, go check it out if you happen to be in the area. But you know what? There are no passes left available. So hopefully we'll get some of the content from that event and share it out socially on social media. So you can actually keep an eye out for that. We're going to be sure to push that through our blogs and our other social media channels. So, hey, Jay, I want to go ahead and hand it over to you. If you guys want to do a quick round of introductions, we got a full house today. So we'll start
For
off with
sure.
you.
Thank you, Anders.
Mhm.
Excited to be here. Hello, everyone. My name is Jay Thontakudi. I'm in the product marketing team here in the VCF division in Broadcom. My areas of focus include VCF Kubernetes Service and our VCF Canonical partnership. Let me hand it over to Timmy for a quick introduction.
Hey, I'm Timmy Carr, product management in the VCF division here. I'm focused on Kubernetes in our AI space and also on helping bring some of these new capabilities via our partnership with Canonical to market. We'll pass it over to Aniket.
Thanks, Timmy. Hi, I'm Aniket Ponkshe. I run our software partnerships in North America for Canonical. Very proud to bring the VMware Canonical partnership here. I think there's a lot of exciting things in it, Ubuntu, Chiseled, and AI. So really glad to be here. Thank you for hanging, folks.
Hey everyone, I'm John Andrechak. I'm a technical marketing manager at Broadcom, and I'm looking forward to showing you what we have today.
Thank you, John. And not showing up on the slide here, but we also have Bruno Hildebrand from the Canonical team, who is on the Q&A panel, helping us address any technical questions that come through. So thank you for joining us, Bruno, in this call. And so let's get started. Back at Explore in Las Vegas this year, we announced expansion of our partnership with Canonical. And in this session today, we want to go through the details of what this partnership entails. What are the benefits you can gain in leveraging our technology integration with VCF, sorry, with Ubuntu OS? And what we want to show you is through a demo is the experience you gain by leveraging this integration where you can deploy an application with Chiseled Ubuntu containers using VKS, which is a vSphere Kubernetes service, and downloading the image from the Arbor registry. And along the way, we have 3 polls for you just to get a pulse check on where you are with your deployments. So we encourage you all to participate in the poll, and we'll be sure to make it quick so you don't have to spend too much time in those questions. But before we go through the partnership details and the integration details itself, just want to take a quick step back to go through the overview of VMware Cloud Foundation. Now, VMware Cloud Foundation, or VCF, is the accomplishment of over 20 years of innovation and experience, resulting in the leading private cloud platform where you can deploy all workloads, containerized, VM-based, and AI workloads with management and operational consistency. Underlying infrastructure technologies like compute, storage, networking are abstracted and delivered through an operational and consumption layer, very similar to what you get with public cloud. So you get a cloud-like experience, and you get added advantages beyond what you get with public cloud, which is cost control, compliance, and sovereignty that comes only with private cloud platform. With automation and efficiency, VCF optimizes the underlying resource utilization, so it significantly reduces your operational overhead and complexity in managing the infrastructure, so you can focus on your business priorities. Now, many customers worldwide have deployed their critical workloads with VCF, taking advantage of the stability, security, scalability, and cloud-like experience to drive their business needs. So to just quickly go through a very high-level architecture view of VCF, VCF is an extensible platform that delivers many services through the consumption interface to deploy all the workloads that I mentioned, but you get a unified cloud experience in leveraging VCF. Now, to go through some of the services, there's an exhaustive list. Obviously, we'll run out of time going through the details of each one of them in this session. But just to go through a few of them, for example, on the bottom left, we have with VCF built-in Kubernetes runtime delivered through vSphere Kubernetes Service or VKS. With certified Kubernetes, VKS enables you to deploy any and all containerized applications while taking advantage of the latest innovations in open source. Any application deployed on a certified platform can be moved and deployed and run using VKS. Now we have a number of what I would say upstream compliant services that are enabled with VKS. And these services address your requirements for access, authentication, ingress and egress networking, storage, securities, logging, monitoring, and so on. And beyond just vSphere Kubernetes service, the platform is very comprehensive and has support for other services too, like private AI services to accelerate your AI workload deployments, VM service. We have GitOps integration with Argo CD. We have network services, storage and data services, registry services that includes Harbor. Now, I mentioned that the platform is extensible, it is open, and it enables you to deploy any preferred services that you have in your ecosystem or any tools that you use in your ecosystem with VCF. For example, if you use Flux CD and not Argo CD, the VCF platform plugs in and works quite well with your integration of Flux CD. If you use Artifactory instead of Harbor Registry, VCF will work with your preference. Apart from all these services that I mentioned, VCF also has integrated multi-cluster management and lifecycle management. And we use centralized hierarchical policies that helps you simplify your compliance management and governance. And among the different policies that you can configure and manage, we have policies for access, policies for networking, storage, security, runtime configuration, policies for registries. And in fact, you will see one such policy in action when John goes through the demo. Now, VCF as a platform addresses the requirements of three personas. We have the cloud admins who manage the infrastructure, and then platform engineers, SREs, DevOps teams who consume this infrastructure and provide a self-service experience to the developers. And then the developers get the broader autonomy to build and deploy applications in the environment they are familiar with and they trust. So VCF overall gives you a comprehensive platform with scale, stability, security, and a cloud-like experience with all the advantages I mentioned related to cost control, compliance, and sovereignty. Now, coming to the Canonical integration itself, our goal is to accelerate your adoption and enrich your cloud consumption experience by breaking down the barriers or reducing the friction to deploy your workloads, whether it is containerized, VM-based workloads, or AI workloads. And in doing so, we want to ensure that the environments are secure and hardened for these workloads. Now, to go through the details of the Canonical partnership and the technology integration, I'm going to have Timmy go through all the benefits that this integration brings to the table. So on to you, Timmy.
Thanks, Jay. And on this slide, I'm going to have Aniket help me out here as well. I think the one big thing that we're really excited about with our partnership is that we're taking the number one private cloud in VCF, and we're partnering that number one private cloud with the number one cloud operating system. And that is, of course, provided by Canonical and it's Ubuntu. And, in my heart of hearts, I could not be more excited. I am a longtime Ubuntu user myself, and a happy member of the Linux community. So this relationship's wonderful for me. But let's talk about the benefits that we're going to give our VCF customers as a result of this relationship. I think number one for me that I'm excited about is the fact that we're bringing enterprise support for our entire stack to our users. And what I mean by that is we're taking the VCF stack and we are providing Ubuntu operating system with enterprise support. This is wonderful because you are going to have one stack that's supportable for both your infrastructure, for the services running on your infrastructure, for your operating system, right? And when we specifically talk about our Kubernetes service, that means we support the vSphere infrastructure. We support deploying Kubernetes infrastructure on top of that. And within that Kubernetes infrastructure, we support the Ubuntu operating system in Kubernetes, as well as other things on top of that, which we'll get into next. Beyond the Kubernetes use case, you get enterprise support for Ubuntu operating system as virtual machines in your stack. And so we as VMware have never really had a fully supported operating system other than Photon OS for Linux in our stack. And our users commonly say, we really want a enterprise level, widely adopted operating system. And really that's what we see in Canonical Ubuntu, right? Hey, Aniket, you want to talk a little bit more here about the chiseled containers benefit on top of VKS?
Absolutely. I think what VCF is doing with VKS is giving customers one platform to get your VMs and your containers all supported in the same environment. How we're supporting VMware in that effort is by offering base Ubuntu as well as chiseled containers with integrations into the Harbor registry so that it becomes super easy, the default for the developer to go and pull from. What that does is it brings a hardened, secure container, not just the base one, but also for popular language runtimes like Python, Java, Rust, a bunch of these ready at the tip of your Harbor registry, essentially, for your developer to use. This is a game changer in some sense for your cloud and IT admin persona, which Jay touched upon earlier, because the developer honestly just wants speed. They want to go get the latest thing, whereas the cloud and IT admin honestly cares about security, reliability, hardening, all of those things. Now your IT admin is able to serve that developer need off the latest secure container with Ubuntu underneath it, right in the Harbor registry. Timmy?
Yeah, thanks, Aniket. I think the one other thing that we'd like to call out as a part of this, in working with Canonical, we have the awesome opportunity to deal with some of the best packagers of the Linux distribution available, as well as some of the best maintainers of the Linux stack out there. And accordingly, we have the ability to deliver for our customers who require AI capabilities in their stack, AI optimized images. And what this means is that we're baking in the things that you need to enable AI workloads as a part of your stack. So those drivers that are needed to enable your accelerator as a part of your AI workflow, it just becomes easier as a part of these custom AI GPU optimized images. And that's something else that we'll be bringing as a part of this. Again, this is all packaged, delivered, and supported by Broadcom collaboratively with the Canonical team behind the scenes. So we could not be more thrilled to pull all this together to provide one end-to-end solution, all the way from the CPU and the memory that's running your workloads and the storage and the network that's running your workloads, all the way up to where your code executes in a container. And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go forward. All right, let's jump ahead to the next slide. All right, so it's poll time. So you've heard a little bit about this. And what we've said is hey, VCF is a full stack platform. Okay, and what we mean by that is from the storage, CPU, and memory network, all the way up to that where your application starts to execute. We can help support your workloads. So we'd like to know, based on that, if you feel like that full stack solution from VCF will help reduce your costs, A, or if you, B, have a full stack solution from another vendor, or C, haven't really thought about using a full stack, but you like the idea. So let's go ahead and answer that poll.
All righty, got the poll up here. And we're only going to take about 35, 45 seconds on this poll. So get your answers in quick because we got a lot of content to cover today. It's still moving. You guys are going crazy. Get those answers in. All right. I'll give you 10 more seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6. All right. We're looking good. And let's take a look at those results. Full stack solution from VCF will help reduce my costs. Good to hear. Good to hear. And
I think the other thing, Andrews, that I love about this is that, I've not really thought about that, but that's a pretty interesting idea, right? And I have to say that in the majority of my customer conversations, either the customer has asked me directly about it, which means they know about it, or if I bring this topic up, they're like, wow, I haven't really thought about that. And I would say that what we're seeing as a part of this poll is pretty indicative of what I've been seeing talking to my customers about it for the last month. So that's very exciting that we have validation both in one-on-one conversations, but more broad arenas as well. Wonderful.
Thanks, Timmy. So let's talk a little bit about Canonical. I mean, everyone knows us for Ubuntu. What fewer people know is the Ubuntu OS itself is about 2,500 packages, but Canonical, we're the trusted open source leader, right? So we don't limit ourselves to just the operating system. So there's over 36K packages supported. All of them get the same love, the same security, the security patching for the long term, so up to 12 years, as does the OS. We've been doing and delivering Ubuntu itself for now 21 years, actually, as of August. And we've consistently delivered the LTS release every 2 years. So people get that 10 to 12 years of support every 2 years. And then a reason why the developers love us is because we also have interim releases every 6 months. So if you're a developer trying to run something on the newest hardware, lots of developers will use that interim release, which are the dot releases with every October and every other April. We also bring a lot of compliance into the mix. So security is sort of table stakes, but when you go to a lot of environments, you're looking at needs like FIPS, DSysTig, CIS, and we bring that to VCF now with our partnership out of the box available for customers to start using. And the Kubernetes itself will also be working with this. So it's a great option for customers to start off on out of the box. I would kind of touch a little bit upon something Timmy mentioned on the last slide, which was AI. If you're talk to 3 AI developers, 2 of them are going to be using Ubuntu as the platform which they develop upon. And why is that? A lot of that is based on our work with our silicon partners, such as NVIDIA, AMD. So you'll find a lot of out-of-the-box integrations with the GPU drivers that NVIDIA provides, and they come out of the box. What's unique about the private AI use case that VCF brings is it is on-prem. And a lot of times it is air-gapped. And what the partnership is bringing is the same Ubuntu experience with support for GPU virtualization to those air-gapped on-prem environments. So super proud that we're able to do this with VMware. The AI developers sort of get excited about, it's pre-tested with CUDA, optimized for other hardware like OpenVINO from Intel, and then deep integrations with applications such as TensorRT, Triton, Kserve, when you actually go and deploy stuff, right? So we're bringing that easy path to VKS, and we're really excited. I love the poll results that we had as well. We're very excited about it as well. Let's move to the next slide. Yeah. So as I said, we've been doing this for 20 years now. So the most recent release is Noble Numbat. We had our interim release just last week, Quirky Coca. And we'll be launching the next LTS in 2604. All of these should be coming to the VCF platform, VKS platform very soon. We started off as sort of serving your developer, right? So I remember back when I was in school, Canonical shipping me disks of Ubuntu as the free OS to go and get started with. And it's been a long journey since then, right? So we started working with the public clouds, throughout the 2010s. Quite a bit, and that's what makes us sort of the go-to platform because we are cloud agnostic and you get the same experience across the clouds. Now we bring that same experience to VCF with integrations driven together by Canonical and VMware engineering teams together. Recently, we've sort of had Ubuntu Pro introduced as a single value prop across all the platforms that we support. And now, as the world becomes more cloud native, you will see a majority of cloud deployments utilize Ubuntu in one form or another. Lots of applications get built already. So you're using Ubuntu even if you don't know it, is how I like to phrase it. And with the chiseled containers, some of those, that goodness will come to the Harbor Registry within the VCF platform. Let's keep going. Jay? Right, poll number 2. Do you use, I know a bunch of customers who actually have been using Ubuntu on VCF ahead of, this expansion in the partnership as well. And then with this, it's numbers only going to increase. But Anders, 30 seconds for the poll.
You got it. Let's go here. Oh, sorry, hang on 2 seconds. And we're off. Ooh. Tim, you're going to love the, I'm not giving any spoiler alerts, but you're going to love the top answer so far by a long shot. All righty. 10 more seconds, folks. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Get those answers in, and here we go. And look at this. Not using VCF with Ubuntu, but OS yet, but I see the value. So looks like we're on to something here. And then 24% are currently using the solution. So that's actually nice to see too.
Awesome. That is exciting to see indeed, Anders. I think with this is something that we like a lot, because now it's going to be easy for people to just consume it out of the box. So somebody who's within that VCF environment can now get easy access to the secure Ubuntu within that framework. So I expect those numbers to switch, maybe flip from where it is to, if we do this poll again in a year's time, right? Super exciting. So we can keep going. So I already see a question in the chat asking about what is Chisel and what are Chiseled Ubuntu containers. So let me go back to something I mentioned on the on Timmy's previous slide, which is, if you think of the cloud and IT admin persona who cares deeply about compliance, security, reliability, and the cloud native developer who's looking for speed, they're looking to drive fast, build applications as quickly as possible. It's the ability to kind of serve the cloud native persona that you're getting with the chiseled containers. What Chisel is an open source tool that Canonical has developed that lets you start with a full Ubuntu distro and then cut out the parts which you don't care about. So if you're a Python developer, you probably don't care about a whole bunch of things that are in the image, the base Ubuntu image that you get. So once you're done building your application, before you deploy it, you can slash out a whole bunch of things that you don't care about. What I love especially is, when you're deploying, you take away access to the shell. You don't have root access possible for users, for example. And so it's inherently more secure by default. Because you're taking away these things, you're also reducing the size of the image. So the attack surface for potential vulnerabilities is much lesser. And that's where the tool kind of started its life as. Chiseled Ubuntu containers are sort of, in the context of VCF, are the output of applying Chisel to a bunch of these solutions. So if you are a Python developer, you get a Python chiseled container on Ubuntu that already has a bunch of the cruft taken out, which you don't care about. In the size is one benefit that I mentioned. So I think for .NET, we've seen we go down from over 200 megabytes down to about 50 megabytes in the size. If you look at startup time, you see significant advantages. So I think in this case, the .NET container goes down from over 150 milliseconds to less than 50 milliseconds. And so inherently what we see is there's a lot of love that enterprises give this because it just improves performance all across the board, improves security all across the board. And now it's coming to your Harbor registry within VCF. What this does is, think of it as a two-step process. So if you start with a base container for your build, you move to the chiseled containers, which are already reduced in size, and you have those available in the Harbor registry. We also have developers chiseling things even further. So you can, because it's an open source tool that is available for everybody, you can go ahead and even reduce the size further based on your exact use case. All of this still gets the security patches that the full Ubuntu OS gets. So that's the beauty of doing this from top down, as opposed to distroless, which comes from the ground up, but then you don't really have a place to hang your hat on when it comes to security patches and so on. So that's chiseled in a nutshell. Let me see, did I cover? Oh yeah, the list of the containers themselves. So I think we'll publish a more extensive list as we go along, but we start with things like .NET, Go, Rust, Python, OpenJDK. Some of the most popular frameworks that we've heard from developers and people care about are going to be available in the 9.1 release as we go along. Let's click through. Thank you, and that's demo time. I think over to John.
Hey everyone, I'm John Andrechak. I'm going to show a quick demo of what we put together to highlight the power of chiseled images in our VCF ecosystem and how easy it is to get up and running. So can you move to full screen, please? In this demo, we'll demonstrate how minimal chiseled containers deployed through VCF can improve developer efficiency, company security posture, and produce lighter images that are less costly to run thanks to the newly announced collaboration between Broadcom and Canonical. First, let's jump in the shoes of our DevOps team. Using VCF automation, they can deploy a Kubernetes cluster. If they choose the default configuration, the cluster can be deployed in 2 clicks. However, in this case, we'll use a custom configuration. Here, they can configure various settings. First, we'll set the cluster name. Then they can change any other settings like Kubernetes version, secure key rotation, or storage options. We can now set details for our control plane with the number of replicas, the VM class, and our storage class options. In this case, we'll change our OS to Ubuntu, click Next, and add our node pool. We can keep all the defaults here, and then just change our OS image to Ubuntu. The YAML manifest is simultaneously created as we make selections. We can download it if we'd like to reuse it later or store it in our repository for GitOps. After saving, we'll click Finish and then launch our Kubernetes cluster. Now that our Kubernetes cluster is set up, we need a way to facilitate the deployment of images for the dev team. Our DevOps team can use the power of VCF to deliver Harbor as our container registry service with just a few clicks. We click Add New Service, and then we can see what kinds of services are available. There are various services that you can see here that we can add. In this case, we'll upload the Harbor image that we got from the Broadcom portal and register it as a service. Next, we'll configure this service using the data values file that was obtained from the Broadcom portal. We'll click Finish. Our container registry is ready. All we need are a few containers to deploy. We'll head over to the Solutions Catalog to find the chiseled images. You can replicate the images from the Solutions Catalog directly into Harbor, but for the purposes of this demo, we've downloaded 2 Python containers ahead of time. The first image will be a regular one, and the second will be chiseled. We will then compare them in Harbor to see how chiseled containers can be up to 70% smaller and much more secure. We're now ready to push our images to Harbor for deployment. For that, we first tag each image, and we push them to our Harbor registry. Logging into Harbor, the DevOps team can now see the 2 images ready for deployment. Looking at the results of the full image, we can see it has 16 CVEs and is 42 megs. Clicking on the image, we can see the different CVEs and the SBOM. We see items like bash, while useful for testing, are not needed in production. Now let's take a look at our chiseled image. It's 13 megs and only has 1 CVE. We can understand why when we look at the SBOM, which doesn't contain packages like bash, making it much lighter and more secure. Hopping back into our CLI, let's deploy the images that we just looked at in the registry. As you can see, nothing is currently running in our newly created cluster, so let's deploy these 2 images. The YAML here points to Harbor and allows us to securely pull the images, but as you can see, the non-chiseled image fails to deploy. What happened? Can a recorded demo really fail? Well, let's have a look at what happened in Harbor. Harbor lets our platform admin team define rules to determine what images can be run. For example, they might decide that any image with CVEs above medium should not be allowed in production and list any exceptions. In this case, the admin found the high severity CVE was a false positive and added it to our allow list. And that's it. It looks like a Kubernetes cluster happily running, but behind it, you have an entire developer, platform engineering, and DevOps setup in place to make sure secure, minimal images are deployed.
Thanks for the demo, John. And I think one of the big things here that we highlighted was how these 2 things really work together. One, we have a generated SBOM that has been populated as a part of our Harbor registry where these images are stored. And that SBOM shows the complete build of what is that container image in this stack. It's really great because we can use that, like you said, to ultimately drive compliance in our organizations. And with these chiseled images, we have the opportunity to give ourselves a great area to have a runtime for application developers' workloads. And pulling all these together, we can really make them into one cohesive story. So that's wonderful. Thank you for the quick demo. Thank you for showing off the power of all these things together. On to poll question 3. Chiseled images is kind of a new thing here. And you heard Aniket mention distroless as well. So our poll number 3 is really about minimal base images like chiseled Ubuntu containers. We really want to know if you've heard of them, right? Like, or are you using something like this? Are you using something like this from another vendor? Um, or is this something that you may be interested in doing in the future? Again, stitching all of these things together gives you one stack from really your memory, your storage, your CPU, your networking, all the way up to where your application developers start to write their code, right? And this image gives you that last layer between effectively the Kubernetes infrastructure and that your developer's application. So we'd love to understand via the poll how you view this and how you view the Chiseled offering.
All righty. I think we're just about there on this poll, so we'll give you 5 more seconds. And there we go. Interesting results on this one too. So a lot of future interest, which I think is promising, especially for us. Hopefully we can help influence some decisions in that realm.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see the 15% of folks who have heard of the chiseled Ubuntu containers. This is I'm not saying this is a new technology, but this is just an area that I feel perhaps goes maybe overlooked by the person that's managing a platform. Uh, Mainly because it's the developer that's taking the dependency on, where they're delivering their base image for their application from. And organizations having some say and a standard in this really can uh, stand up and have a really good posture in the face of potential threats to their systems. So I think this is a great little validation of this here. Thank you very much for your time there.
Awesome.
All right, so kind of wrapping things up here. So as the summary, we've talked briefly in terms of really providing one stack where we're supporting compute, network, and storage all the way up to where your application's running, right? But the story is really streamlining and securing your modern apps with the whole stack here, right? And I'm not sure that it should even be modern apps here. I think it should just be streamline and secure your apps, whether they're in virtual machines, whether they're in a container requiring a chiseled image, and I think, or whether they're AI workloads and you requiring a secure operating system and one that's integrated with the best GPU drivers available for you that are certified to work, right? I really think that this offering really ties these things together to provide a lot of value for our customers. Really, the key highlights, faster developer autonomy, faster time to value, right? It's container based or VM based. And again, this is enterprise grade support for the full VCF stack, including Ubuntu OS and chiseled Ubuntu containers. There was a question in chat as well about, is this just the VKS operating system? No, this is access to a Ubuntu operating system, access to the FIPS components in the Ubuntu operating system for you to run your workloads for virtual machines as well. And there was another question about how that would be delivered. That'll be delivered to you as a part of your VCF download entitlements. We're working through the processes of getting that done right now. We're quite excited to get this in your hands as quickly as possible. And don't forget, I think we mentioned it before, but we'll also, for folks who need the ability to have these GPU optimized images, those will be there and available for you as well. The key advantage there is that you'll be able to use your existing VCF download tooling and perhaps like offline depot if you're in an air gap scenario to deliver these to your stack so that you can execute your AI native workloads in VCF. Awesome. All right, so one thing that we want to make sure that you do is that you stay connected. So let's be sure that you click these QR codes for both the Canonical website and the VCF website for more details here.
And Timmy, this is Jay. One of the questions that keep coming up is whether, and I think you addressed it in the previous slide, if whether this Ubuntu OS integration is just specific to containerized workload deployments. And the fact is it is applicable to even VM-based workload deployments, something you can emphasize on.
Yeah, that's correct. And what I would say here, Jay, is that we have there are many places where we are leveraging our partnership here with Canonical to provide additional support. As you run a Kubernetes cluster, you'll have worker nodes that exist in that Kubernetes cluster. Now, we as VCF have already had a partnership with Canonical, and in that partnership, previously, we leveraged Canonical to provide support for the underlying Ubuntu operating system, which was one flavor that you could get in our Kubernetes cluster. Our other flavor is Photon OS, which we plan to have and we plan to use. So you can choose either of those options, but pick Ubuntu. Why? It's the #1 cloud OS. It'll be great across your on-prem cloud. It'll be great in a public cloud for you to leverage. And this is why we want to have our customers leverage this operating system. It's one consistent way for you to get your Linux as a part of this, and that's included as a part of the Kubernetes stack. Separately, we're providing a Ubuntu operating system for you to use for virtual machines in your stack, right? And so that's included as a part of the stack and available for you. So yeah, both of those options are available. And I understand that's kind of confusing, but no, they're both there. Aniket, I see you want to say something as well.
Yeah. So I was just going to add more color to how you're describing it. I think you're making just a different angle on the same thing. So if somebody is using VMware Kubernetes, they will have, FIPS ready kernel, a FIPS certified kernel. So your Kubernetes itself is FIPS ready. When it comes to other deployments, I think there's the distinction between the OS and what we think of as the larger Ubuntu repositories. So the OS itself, you can think of as about 2,000 to 3,000 most commonly used packages that we offer. Just like on the public clouds, we offer those for people to use. So the key mind shift here is we are making it easy to use. So you could go and get these in the past from Docker. You could go get them from another cloud or somewhere else. They will now be available with the same commitments that the free Ubuntu has on the VCF platform in the VKS Harbor registry. Who would be looking at, I think there's two parts to this question. To the next question is, how is support offered? So support would be direct through VMware, as Timmy mentioned in the chat. If you need additional support for any of those 36,000 packages that we support, applications that we support, you would find your friendly rep to talk to at VMware or at Canonical. Compliance is another one of those. Like if your application itself needs to be FIPS compliant, come talk to us, for example. Hopefully that clarifies a whole host of questions that I see in the chat around what is available through VMware and what can people consume. The North Star here is make the experience for the #1 on-prem cloud exactly the same as what you would see on another public cloud, essentially. Timmy, does that?
It does. You answered it accurately. I would say I see Estuardo saying, really, it's free for all of us. And let's be specific about where these are offered, right? So the Ubuntu operating system and the Ubuntu operating system is offered as a part of VKS, is included as a part of your VCF subscription. The Ubuntu chiseled images are included as a part of our cyber compliance SKU, which is purchasable. But again, you're running the Ubuntu operating system here. Feel free to go and leverage components to understand if they'll work in your stack, and you can use those via Docker Hub today and get a sense if those chiseled images are going to provide additional value for you. All right. Well, thank you very much for the time today, folks. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you, Aniket, for your help. John, thank you for your awesome demo. And Canonical team, again, thank you for the wonderful partnership, bringing this #1 operating system, these images, and the AI capabilities to the VCF stack. We're very happy for your partnership.
Likewise, thank you for having me, folks.